right, welcome everyone to a very, very special Zoom and Learn today with the Dallas Arboretum. So we have Dave Forehand with us today, and Dave is the VP of Gardens, and coming up soon will be 20
They probably heard
years.
your hair dryer.
20 years since he started working with the Arboretum, so that's really exciting. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about the Arboretum real quick. I pulled a fun little snippet of facts. So the Dallas Arboretum is proud to offer the public an array of popular annual events, educational programs for both children and adults, and they have an emphasis on family-oriented activities. It is a groundbreaking horticultural research that is conducted in their trial gardens, and it continues to contribute to an important body of knowledge both regionally and nationally. Located on the shores of the beautiful White Rock Lake, the Arboretum has 66 acres and includes a complete life science laboratory with endless potential for discovery. So they really have some amazing programs over there. And once we get into Dave doing everything exciting he's going to do today, he is going to share so much more information with you. Now, important thing today. So during the presentation, I will be muting everyone, okay, so that way we can hear Dave loud and clear. Now, what I want everyone to do, okay, is if you are on your computer, I need you to locate the picture of Dave sitting in front of he's sitting behind the pot with the flowers, okay? You can all locate, he's in a blue shirt. Locate that picture for me if you're in gallery view.
I see him.
Okay. When you put your mouse over his picture, you're going to have those 3 buttons show up.
Will you wait a minute till I find him?
Sure. You're going to have those 3 buttons show up.
3 dots. It'll be 3 dots.
Sorry.
I don't know why I can't locate him.
The right-hand corner.
I got
Oh, Dave Forehand.
Dave Forehand.
Yep, it says Dave Forehand.
Okay.
Okay. Put your mouse on his picture. You're going to have that little 3 dots show up in the upper right-hand corner.
On Dan or Dave?
Dave Forehand.
Okay. Oh, I lost him now.
He moved. There he is.
Where is he?
Can't find him.
Okay, he's going to be different for everybody's screen. I do apologize.
I did have him and then he moved.
I'm on a desktop.
Yep. All right, so real quick, guys, hold on 1 second. So let's just do this. For the first people who've already found the 3 dots, go ahead and hit the button that says, click on that and hit pin video. Okay? And we'll walk through it again while everybody's looking for Dave.
Oh, I found him. Yay.
I haven't got him yet.
Do it on the phone.
I'm going to do that in a second.
Okay.
He's muted.
Yes,
he's muted right now.
Okay, I found him.
Click the button that says what now?
No. I'm still looking. Why can't I find
Pin
him?
video. Okay,
I
got it.
can't find him.
Here it is.
I can't find him either.
Hang on a second. Let me try something.
I had him locked. Oh,
He
now
is.
I have him.
Okay.
Now I
Found him.
okay.
good.
Now I found him.
Did you move it to Dave, though?
I'm sorry?
Did you actually move it to Dave?
I did.
How did you do that?
I made him the spotlight video. Does everybody see Dave nice and big now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
I learned something new. I figured I'd try it and see what happened, right?
Zoe, you're incredible. Y'all give it up for Zoe real quick, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Oh, thanks. I'm glad everybody can see him. So he will be spotlighted for everyone. Now, you're still going to be able to hear him, even though you do see the mute icon. It's because we're not using the audio from this particular shot. So that's why we needed to make him big on your screen for you. So that being said, I am going to mute everyone. Dave, give me 1 second. I'll let you know when I unmute you so you're clear to talk, okay?
Can't get him large yet. I've only got a little square.
Really, Joyce?
This is Judy.
Judy.
Oh, Judy, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I see the 3 dots. What am I supposed to do?
Click pin video.
Look at the 3
It's
dots.
not giving me that option. It's only saying chat.
We don't have dots. We just live without it.
On your mouse.
No.
I'm
Does she maybe
using
need
my
to go
mouse.
to
I'm clicking the 3
gallery
dots
view?
and it says chat.
View?
Good.
No, because we
Should
can't
be at
use
the
speaker
top of your
view,
screen.
Rosa.
Yeah.
Mm,
All right. So you found Dave's photo.
Right.
All right, and you clicked on the and you found his video, and you clicked on the 3 dots. And it
Yes.
just says chat.
Yes.
And you're on a PC.
Go
I'm on a
actually.
Mac.
Actually, go to your speaker view. You're still viewing it in gallery view. If you go to speaker view, that should
Okay.
put him as your spotlight video.
And then I gotta find him again.
No, you don't need to find him. Just
Find
go
the
to
file.
your.
He's okay. I see he's large. Okay.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Now we got it. All right. Make sure you're in speaker view, and that spotlight video will be there for you.
On the phone, mine is not large. Should I use?
If you put it in speaker view on your phone.
I don't. Where is that? I'm sorry.
What device are you on?
The iPhone.
The iPhone. Okay. SJ, you know I always need help with iPhone.
Because we're not going to internet.
Who are we?
Thank y'all for your patience, everyone.
on
We
one
just
second,
definitely
guys.
want
I'm
to make
just
sure
going to-
everybody can see.
Just going to a quieter space. Okay, so on your iPhone, there should be 3 dots that are in the right-hand corner. Do you see that?
At the bottom?
Yes.
Yes.
So you click on that, and then it should give you an option to make that particular screen. Do you see this?
Yes. And it says chat, meeting settings, virtual background, raise hand, or disconnect audio.
Okay, hold on 1 sec. I'm just going to go off speaker, and I'm going to log on to my phone. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I am not iPhone knowledgeable, so I apologize. Thank you so much for everyone's patience. Thank you, Dave, for your patience. I appreciate it.
Yes.
And we will get this all figured out so everybody can see.
He just froze.
Your program time's up.
Yeah, this is a little.
Let me check something.
What, on the checks?
Yeah.
There's the aroma of soil.
Okay, that's me.
Okay.
Very familiar today. Oh, someone's having a good time.
We're getting to you.
Well, that's an exciting noise. I apologize. With it pinned, I can't tell where the sound is coming from, but once we mute everyone, we won't have that issue.
Okay, I am back. Who was it that needed
It's me,
help?
Amy.
Okay. Oh, hello.
Hi.
So when I log in, I actually just see Dave right now. Do you not see that?
I see Dave, but
That's what
he's little. He's not, he's just like, you know, an inch in the middle of the screen or whatever. It's not the full.
Turn your phone on the side.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't make it larger.
No,
I
Okay,
do
so-
not know what to tell you.
Yeah, so for me, I just turn my phone on and what it does, it makes it bigger.
She probably has to go to settings in order to make sure that she can turn her phone sideways.
Yeah, I did the meeting settings and the. Well, that's okay. Y'all just go ahead. I'll just watch it small. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, darling.
I'll
know.
watch it small with you too, so we're not alone. Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right,
But
so
I'm inside. You're outside, probably.
all right, we're gonna get this started. I'm gonna mute everyone, and then Dave, I'll let you know when I've got you unmuted. Okay.
Oh, Dave, look good with the bowl soil.
Okay. There you are. Unmute. Dave, you're gonna have to do it from your. There we go.
I've got it. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, everyone, just one more thing. Please do not take yourself off of mute during the presentation. If you can leave that on while Dave is speaking, and then we will open things up for questions at the end. Take it away, Dave, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you. So, gosh, it's good to have all you guys here, and at least virtually with us. We're all getting pretty good at this Zoom thing, aren't we? I've had to learn along with everybody else, and I'm getting pretty good at presenting on Zoom to folks too, because that's a good way I can reach out and bring the Arboretum to people. A couple things I wanted to tell you about the Arboretum. We are open. I think a lot of people think we're still closed, but we're not. All our buildings are closed for the most part, except for just the restrooms. But the gardens are open, and you can get a time ticket and pick the time of day you want to come in. For members, we're open at 7. If you're not a member, we have a senior Thursday. You get a discount on Thursdays if you're a senior. And we have a great summer exhibit. It's bronze sculptures by Seward Johnson. There's about 25 different sculpture pieces throughout the garden. And there are people doing interesting things. He's a pretty noted sculptor. Did a lot of work in the 60s and 70s. We have that exhibit here for summer. And of course, we have all the summer color here too. So if you are able to get out or feel like you want to do something, you know, we're outside. People are mostly wearing masks. They don't have to because the rules of the city of Dallas say you don't have to outside, but everyone has to social distance. But the Arboretum is here if you're interested in coming to visit. If not, you can actually follow us virtually. If you like the Dallas Arboretum on Facebook, you can follow me. Every day I have a video about plants for the most part, or sometimes other subjects, and I do virtual tours. And you can see that, or go to our website, Dallas Arboretum. You can actually see all the gallery of videos. There's actually hundreds there where you can take a look and see what's been going on here at the Arboretum as well. So there's different ways you can explore with us. First thing I want to do, because we can't start this class without a cocktail, I want to give you a great new cocktail, and I'll be interested to hear at the end when you ask questions if anybody's ever heard of this, but this one is called a Quarantini, and it's a good botanical drink, and it's perfect for the times we're in right now. It consists of either you use vodka or gin, it's about 3 ounces, and then it's 2 ounces of fresh squeezed lemon juice. I have it right here. And of course, here's my vodka, and then it's 2 tablespoons of water mixed with that, and then 2 tablespoons of fresh organic honey as well. So we put all those ingredients together, and I'm gonna do that right now for you guys. After the show, you guys can all go make this. I think you're gonna like it.
And one thing I want to add while Dave is working on mixing that, he is going to provide the recipe for this to us. We're going to put it in the magazine for you, and we'll share it online because this sounds delicious.
I hope you can hear the shake. That's the best part. Okay, I think that's ready. And the last ingredient, this is optional, but I think is really important, is you use 1 packet of emergency orange vitamin C, the powdered form. So I've poured it into a little plate here, and you wet the rim of your glass. I'm gonna do that now with my extra lemon juice. dip it. Got a nice little coating of vitamin C around. And then last step is pour up this tasty drink. All right, here's to all you guys. Thanks for watching. Oh, that's really, really good. You're gonna have to try it. Like, the recipe will be posted, so you guys are gonna like that. Okay, next up, I want to show you how to plant a pizza herb garden. You know, if you ever break off a little oregano and crush it and let a child smell it, and then you say, what does that smell like? They'll always say pizza, because it's synonymous with one of the herbs that they use in pizza sauces quite often. And what I've done, I've got a large terracotta bowl here. The large wide ones are great when you can do multiple herb plantings, because there's space for each one of the different plants to have its space to grow. And this is a fun thing to do at home, or great to do with like grandkids as a project. And the plants that I picked, and there you can decide what your favorite pizza herbs are, but the ones I'm going to use are the ones that I most often associate with the spices on pizza. And I couldn't really do without basil, so that's my first plant here. And of the different plants we're going to use, basil is the one that tends to get the largest. So I always want to plant it in the middle. And for purposes of reusing these, I'm not going to take them out of the pot, but I'm going to just plant them with the pot. But you'll see what it looks like when I'm all done here. So I'll center my basil right there, and it'll take off them again to grow. The next one I have here is parsley. I love fresh parsley sprinkled on a pizza as well sometimes. I like it on almost everything. So I'm going to put it off to one of the side places over here. All right. Next in line is that good old oregano, where I like this fresh, or like the dried oregano sprinkled on pizza as well. This is a classic one. And this is actually Italian oregano. This is how it was labeled. Next one is good old thyme. This is just a kind of an English version of thyme, but a nice little plant. And you can use this in a lot of different sauces, but it's good on pizza. And then the last one I'm going to use, because I like this on pizza, is fresh garlic chives. It's little plants are just getting started here, but as they grow out, you can cut them and dice them up and sprinkle them on pizza. It makes it so good. So I'm going to put that one right up front here where you can see it. And there you have it. Keep it watered, probably with a container like this when you first plant it. The weather we have right now, you're going to have to water it probably every day as it grows in. And it does require a little liquid fertilizer or some time-release fertilizer as well for these to really flourish and grow. And you'll have your pizza garden growing. And out of all the things I planted here, they actually all are winter hardy except for the basil. So you actually might have to plant something different if you have this going into the fall when we start to have first frost or freeze. But you can continue growing all of these with the exception of basil. And you might want to switch that out for some other winter hardy herb like a rosemary or maybe a cilantro. So that's our pizza garden.
Oh, awesome. Dave, I'm going to pause you there because I've got some questions coming through on our chat. Right. So Sandra would like to know how deep that terracotta pot is that you're using.
It's about probably 8 to 10 inches at the center point. Okay. You know, since it's sloped, it's shallower along the edges. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't really go much smaller than this because these plants put out quite a bit of root mass. So you could definitely have a larger pot, but the truth is I couldn't carry anything bigger than this. That's why I have this size pot, because I couldn't pick up anything larger than this particular pot. But you really can't have too big of a pot. If it's bigger, then you won't have to water as much. The difference is it really doesn't have to be like that deep.
Okay.
12 to 18 inches is plenty. But if you already have a container and you're not really using it, and it's more traditional, like 3-foot high container, that would work fine if it's already in place and you don't need to move it.
Very cool. And where would be a good price to purchase something like that if you wanted to make this?
Well, any of the garden centers will have it, the big box. You can actually, this is real terracotta. You can get the exact same look in a plastic container, and it's like 10 times less heavy than a terracotta, and that's a good way to go as well. And just a bag of potting soil, and you're ready with the plants. And I actually found all these herbs at one garden center. So
Okay, and what kind of soil are you using in there?
This is just a compost mix. It's got a lot of perlite, which is a ingredient that keeps the potting soil light. So I would just get good all-purpose potting soil from the garden center. It'd work fine.
Very cool. Okay, and then so this is a question I would ask because I would ask too. Someone else asked it also. But when we're doing this, we obviously want to take them out of their little plastic containers, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I know I'm not a garden I can't plant things. I try to kill everything. So then, all right. So Terry asked about keeping squirrels and other critters out of it. Do you have any suggestions for that?
Oh, somebody will win the Nobel Prize when they figure out how to stop squirrels. I tell you, that's a tough one. In my house and here at the Arboretum as well, those little guys are pretty crafty. But my experience is squirrels don't really are interested in any of these particular herbs that I've planted.
Okay.
They tend to go after like fruit and things. So if I was growing peppers, I would have a squirrel problem, or my tomatoes. But with these herbs, the most the squirrel might do with a container like this is come and dig around trying to find something in the soil that he might want to eat. So it wouldn't be a problem. But there's no real good solution for squirrels and what they do. And a lot of people have remedies for them, but I don't want to talk about that being mean to squirrels on this video.
Right. I would agree. So we also have some people that have just made some suggestions, like they've used old tires. They have half wine barrels that they've used, which is great. Now, Betty Nickel asks, is this a project better kept? Do we need sun or shade or partial sun? What's best for these herbs?
They see full sun, but what I would say to that is like 6 hours of good sun. Morning would be better, and then if it shades in the middle late afternoon, that's okay, and then it'll be less stress during these like the heat loads that we are in right now. But all of these plants require full sun for the most part.
Perfect. Well, wonderful. All right. I think so. Jan, she did ask if you could like maybe possibly cover these with a type of netting, if that would be okay if you're trying to keep things out of it.
Oh yeah, that would be fine. That would,
yeah. Okay.
That'll slow down a squirrel.
Great. Perfect. And just a comment from Miss Janet Colello. She said it's a good idea to mulch herbs. So there you go. Is it a good idea to mulch herbs?
It is. It's a good idea to mulch anything. When you put a mulch on top of your potting soil or just your beds in your yard, you can actually cut down on evaporation by like 80–85%. So you're saving all that water. You're spending a lot of money on putting on your plants. It's staying in the soil if you cover in mulch. And the same thing goes for a pot like this. And with a container like this, you could use some kind of decorative mulching material, some kind of pretty colored pebble stone, for instance, on top, an inch or so of that, and it'll help hold the moisture in the soil and it'll look attractive too. So that's a great suggestion.
How awesome. Very cool. I might feel like I could actually do this. I might have to try it. Okay. Best time to water, mornings or evenings?
Well, for a container like this, best time is when it needs it, whenever that is. But for consistency, I would do it in the evening, and then the moisture's there all night. Takes it in. One of the rules of thumb for water in general is you don't want to wet the foliage like early evening and have it be wet through the night, because it can cause like more disease problems. So it's better to water with a sprinkler system early morning hours before the sun comes up, so that it's watered while it's still cool and not evaporating, and then the sun comes up and dries everything out for the day. But with a container like this, just hand water whenever it's needed.
All right. So, okay. So someone who kills everything like me, I have to ask this. How can I tell when it needs water or if I'm watering it too much?
Well, great question. Well, if the plants are all drooping and look like they're done for, that means it needs water. But usually you want to water before that. You can tell by touching the soil, usually if it feels dry to the touch.
Okay.
But I can tell you this time of year outside in the heat, it would need good watering every day.
Okay, great. I might be able to pull this off. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if I can do this. All right. Well, great. Let's move on to the next part of your presentation.
All right. Well, the next thing I want to do is highlight plants, the annual flowering plants that are super heat tolerant, because it's just a great thing to talk about right now since we're in the middle of this heat wave. They did say there wasn't a heat warning today. That was like, you know, it's little victories for us when it's actually almost 100, but it's not a heat advisory today. So that's nice. But there are plants that thrive in this heat, and we have them planted throughout the Arboretum, and that's why we're so beautiful. If you're strong enough to walk in the heat to look at them, especially in the afternoons. But I have some that I could get my hands on here that I want to highlight, and others I'm just going to list, but we'll have a list that you'll post on your website too of these plants. And they are pretty common to be able to find these. These are in the market place. I'm not naming hard to get plants that we know about at the Arboretum, but no one ever can find. So the things I'm going to talk to you about are plants that you can use. First one here is this Zinnia angustifolia. This particular variety is called bright yellow, but this particular species of zinnia is super drought tolerant. Zinnias are fun to grow, but a lot of them get kind of mildew on the leaves in the heat of summer with the moisture and humidity. But this particular angustifolia species is really tough. And I like this particular one because it has this beautiful lemon yellow colored flower. You can see that. I'll get a little bit closer to the camera. And it'll spread. This is a starter plant. It'll spread probably about 12, 14 inches wide and about that tall as well, and just be covered with these blooms throughout the rest of the summer. And it also comes in a pink, orange, or reddish orange color. So a lot of different varieties of this particular zinnia, but it's a really good, tough one. And I love this yellow flower. That's why I picked this particular one to showcase. Next plant is over here. I don't know if you can see it from the camera frame, so I'll pull one that's got some flowers on it. This one here. This is Evolvulus, or sometimes it's called Blue Days. And this particular variety, cultivar, is called Blue My Mind, is the name of this particular cultivar. It's kind of a fun play on words, but it's a true blue colored flower. It spreads kind of as a ground cover, and it'll just be covered solid in these blue flowers. So it's kind of unique to get a plant that has a bluish colored flower. It's not very common in the plant world to have a blue in a flower, so that makes it special. And it's loves it hot. The hotter the better. It'll just thrive, and this will bloom all the way to frost. So it's a long-lived plant as well. So this can work good in the containers because it'll spill over the side. So again, this is Blue Days, sometimes called Evolvulus is a scientific name, I guess, as well. And over here to my left, I have one I always love to plant. This is a salvia. This is a young starter plant. These will get quite large, probably about 2 feet, maybe a foot or so wide as they grow out, with the beautiful purple spikes. This one's called Velocity Blue. There are a lot of different varieties of these blue salvia, but they're, again, very heat tolerant, and they are super attractive to butterflies and hummingbirds and bees, nectar feeders. So if you plant these, you're going to attract all the different pollinators. So that's another beautiful thing. And again, all three of these are grow in full sun. The Blue Days of Evolvulus can take partial shade. So the pretty blue one can actually be in part shade as well. All right, over here I have a vinca. This was a Cora series. It's spelled C-O-R-A. This particular series is very disease resistant. Vinca was a little tricky for us for a long time because it would get this bacterial rot that would burn back the foliage for years, but they've come out with a lot of new varieties that work. And this is Cora, and then the variety is called Orchid. It has a little white eye in the center of the flower. If you can see that, I'll kind of hold it closer. Loves it hot and really bright and showy as well. Okay, got a purslane, sometimes called portulaca. This particular one is nano purple, this variety. These, again, super heat tolerant plants, and will just bloom like day after day after day, all the way until we get into late fall when we start to cool down. There's two different series of purslane. This particular purslane is nano purple. There's also one called the Fairy Tale series, which is a double flower which is really nice as well. We have that planted in the garden. I couldn't find a plant that hadn't been already planted, so don't have it to show you, but the purslane's great again. It's a heat tolerant group. Some others that I have that that are in the garden, but I don't have in person today is begonia dragon wing red. The dragon wing series begonias, that's a variety type, are super tough. They can take shade to just about full sun. Morning sun, afternoon shade's perfect for them as well, but they will do well in full shade also. It's one of the better begonias that you can have, and that'll take you full season all the way to frost. They'll look good. There's a plant called Kufia, and there's a variety of it called Georgia Scarlet, which is super gorgeous. It just pops. Sometimes it's called bat flower too, because if you take the flower and look close, it looks like the face of a bat. It's kind of a neat. So you can look up bat flower, and then you'll find different varieties of Kufia. But you'll see that for sale in a lot of the garden centers here when it's hot. Another one is lantana. I think people probably, you guys garden at all, you're familiar with lantana. There's one I like called Landmark Peach, and it's a really beautiful peachy, creamy colored one that does well. And lantanas like it hot. They're again are super attractive for butterflies, hummingbirds. So if you want to plant things that attract pollinators, the lantana is a really good one. The next one is pentas, and there's two types of pentas that are series, graffiti and kaleidoscope. Within those plant series, there's lots of different colors you can pick from. And both of those are super good, and again, are pollinator friendly. So you kind of get in the trend. You know, a lot of these super heat tolerant summer plants are also great for attracting the pollinators. And that's really it on my list. And I'll post this so you guys can get it. That way you'll have a great list. There's many, many other plants that are heat tolerant. One of the things we do here at the Arboretum is test through our plant trials program, which if you come, you can walk through the 2 trial gardens and see what's being tested. And we do a 3-year test on a plant variety. And if it passes all our criteria, it can become designated as a plant, you know, that we can award. And one of the things we give to plants that pass the test for heat tolerance, they get the label flame proof. So it becomes a flame proof plant because they can live through July and August in North Texas. So that's a plus. We've got a lot of those, and everything I just showed you here is a flame proof plant and has been tested. Our motto for our trial program is, if we can't kill it, nobody can. Because we are a hot place in the summer, especially our nights. People don't understand, you know, when I talk to people around the country, they say, oh, we get hot, we hit 100 every day. And I said, well, what happens at night? Oh, it goes down to 65. I'm like, exactly. We go down to 90. So our heat tolerant plants are really tougher than anywhere else.
It most certainly is. Although I will say, if Zoe can't kill it, nobody can. I'm just saying, that's how bad I am. All right, so I have a bunch of questions that came through. One actually refers to the container garden, and does it need to have a drain hole in it, or is it okay to not have a drain hole for that?
Oh, another great question. It definitely needs a drain hole. Otherwise, you'll water it every day, just like I told you to do, and it'll flood and they'll drown, and then you won't know it till it's too late, because it'll just be standing water underneath the soil. So definitely a drain hole. And sometimes it's best, if you're starting with a new container and you're putting the soil in, to put some pebbles or something around the drain hole where the soil doesn't compact down and clog it where the water can't get out.
Perfect. All right. Okay, so all of these flowers that you showed us right now, these plants, are they annuals or perennials?
Basically all annuals. Some of them, if it's a very mild winter, some of these things would come back like the salvias, but pretty much treat them all like annuals. And that's how we plant them.
Great. All right. Okay, so you said we can get a list of the flowers, because everyone has asked if we will get a list of all of these different flame-proof, right, flowers. So that'll be great. And the blue flower that you first showed off, that was called Blue Days, right?
D-A-Z-E, Blue Days. Yep, that's just a common name. That's a common name for it. The scientific name is Ebobulus.
Okay, great. All right. Okay. Now, is it too hot for us to plant these now if we would like to add them to our gardens?
No, it's not. And so that's another good point. And, you know, the key is, though, when you plant them, you're going to have to keep them watered till they root into the soil where you planted them, because when you pull these out of these pots, the roots are only in this little root ball that's inside here. And if that dries out, it doesn't have any roots into the rest of the soil in your planting bed. So until they root in, you have to kind of keep up with them. So you probably will have to water them just about every day for a week or two until they begin to really grow in. And once they're established and rooted in, then your normal watering regime will work fine and they'll thrive.
Great. You answered a question I had in your response, so that's awesome. So we had someone that asked about color, suggestions for color compatible plantings. That is what they said, so that's what I'm saying.
Mix them all together. It's fine. No, actually, people have a lot of different preferences and tastes. And you know, mostly what I picked here was pinks and purples and blues because those are the colors I like. I have to force myself to plant orange or yellow when I like pick colors. Not because they're bad colors, but it's just like not my preference. So it's a really kind of a personal thing what people like to do. But you can play around with it and match and mix. But don't be afraid to use colors. If you come to Arboretum, you're going to see we use a lot of colors.
Yeah.
And combination of plants. Always experimenting, and we, you know, sometimes we think, well, wow, that's a brand new, wonderful look, and then sometimes we'll say we probably won't do that combination again. So it's fun to just try it. It's okay.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm a pink and purple and blue girl myself, pink hair. So there we go. All right. So let's see. Now, are these plants native to Texas, or any of them native to Texas?
Some of the salvias are native to Texas and naturalized, but most everything else wouldn't be from originally from Texas native. Let me think. Let me look at my list. There's some of the purslane is actually native, but it's, you know, purslane can be a weed in people's gardens if they're not planting it as a flower in the bed. So it all depends on if it's in the wrong spot, it becomes a weed sometimes.
Interesting. Very interesting.
They've all adapted to our space here, but you know, so many of the plants that we use in our landscaping, you know, aren't native. They're from other places. We think of them as our plants, like crepe myrtles. We think as a plant for the South, and it's our plant, but it's actually from Asia. Is its original origin.
Very interesting. Okay, so, all right, I have a question here about how to grow lavender in a flower bed. Would you use a mixture of sand and soil?
Yep, sand would be great added to the soil because if it's too wet, it'll do lavender in. And you know, when we have, well, I wish we were having them, but when we had all that rain a few weeks ago, that's when lavender, and it's hot and we get a lot of rain and it's too wet, and that'll like do lavender in. So well drained is super important for lavender. If you're going to do well. So that's key. Especially if it's even kind of an elevated area, can make a difference as well. But gardeners have ever tried to have success with lavender here in North Texas, and it's pretty tricky to do because of the way our climate works.
Okay.
If it was hot and dry all the time, it would be fine, but it's the wet times that get lavender.
Okay. All right. Now, I hope I don't say this wrong. The best way to grow, is it a hosta plant or a hosta plant?
Hosta, you're right.
Hosta, yeah. Okay. Because they always show, so LaDonna commented, it always starts out great, but it never survives the summer.
Right. Well, with hostas here in North Texas, it's just managing expectations. They're wonderful, but you're not going to have beautiful hostas blooming in August like you see up in the upper Midwest or the Northeast. You're going to enjoy them in the spring. They're going to bloom about now, and then they're going to be toast by the end of August. But just enjoy that time you had them, and they'll come back beautifully next year. But it's just managing expectations with the hostas. Morning sun, afternoon shade is perfect for hostas too. But I wouldn't shy away from using them. Just don't expect them to make it through the end of summer.
Okay, great. So Joyce asked, what zone are we in? Because a lot of times we'll see stuff about planting zones. So what zone is Dallas considered?
Well, we're 7B, almost 8.
Okay.
But that's they keep moving that line because we're a heat island now, the metroplex of Dallas. So we're a higher level zone than you would think. If you go east or west, it goes back down because of that. But it's so varied because we have these spikes where we, it's mild, and all of a sudden we get some super cold event, and that kind of throws off the zone. But it has tended to be warmer the last 10 to 15 years.
It has. Okay. All right. So do these plants that you have with you here, Dave, do they need to be deadheaded?
None of these need to be deadheaded. No.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So low maintenance, heat tolerant. That sounds right up my alley. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So Jan wanted to let you know that she's got a lantana that is growing great. And she just added 2 more plants and also put out 2 butterfly plants. I love the butterfly plants. They're amazing.
That's great. Yeah.
Very cool. Ooh, Robert and Mary Harris made the suggestion to use coffee filters over the drain holes in pots.
Great idea.
Yeah. Lee Dixon said the Blue Days is great. Pam said the Blue Days is beautiful, that it just gets covered in blue flowers. Genevieve would like to know where she can find the pepperoni plant for the pizza garden. That's worth saying.
It's not as Kroger, but
right. That's so funny. Yeah, Jan says she has a lot of crepe myrtles. And so these plants that you have right here, now these are what would be considered low maintenance, is that correct?
That's correct. So with all these heat tolerant plants, part of that toughness is they're low maintenance too. You just plant them, get them going, and just forget about them, enjoy them.
Great. Judy, okay. So she has a question about the hostas. She said something likes to eat hers. And are there any suggestions for that?
Well, I know that slugs and snails love hostas. So if you've got those lurking around, you hardly ever see them because the time you go out, it's warm and they're gone for the day. They're out at night in the cool, relative cool of the night, munching on those. So there's different solutions for controlling snails and slugs. There's actually like a thing called Sluggo you can put out that they feed on and it kills them. Or other people use little like pans of like beer and they crawl in and drown in the beer. Anyway, there's different techniques that they can use, but it could be that's what's getting them. More often, that's usually the case more so than some type of insect feeding on them.
Okay. Are there any perennial suggestions for heat?
Right. There's a lot of heat tolerant perennial things as well. Some of the, lantana sometimes will perennialize for us. If our winters aren't too hot, the lantanas will come back each year. They don't completely freeze away. There are a lot of actually salvias. This particular one's considered an annual salvia because it's like true coming back through the winter, but there are a lot of salvias that come back every year, no problem, that are beautiful. One called Blue Spires is one that I know that you can plant, it'll come back. And so the salvias are great for that. Phlox is another thing that's just wrapping up blooming. The hardy phlox is wonderful as well. Hardy hibiscus put on a show. Folks that if they're gardeners know what that is, but there's varieties of hardy hibiscus that can have flowers that are about 12 inches in diameter. It's really stunning. And that's a nice one to have in a perennial planting or garden.
Very nice. Okay, so Genevieve asked if Blue Days is the same as catmint.
It's not the same.
Okay.
But I know what she's talking about. But it's different, yeah.
Different. All right. So what causes your lantanas to look burned up?
I don't know, unless they're not getting enough water because they're really pretty drought tolerant once they're established.
Okay.
So that's unusual for me to think because that the heat, they love it. So it's not the heat itself that's doing that. It's something else that's causing the browning.
Okay.
It's lack of water, maybe.
Okay. So great. So we just have a couple little other comments. Carol said that she has several varieties of, man, I'm butchering everything. Cannas, C-A-N-N-A-S, that come back every year.
You're right. Good. You got that.
Guessing good today. All right. And then Jan said that her first lantanas were planted 3 years ago and they come back every year. So that's great.
Right.
what about, are there any suggestions of plants that kind of help deter wasps?
No, there. You know, I get this question a lot. There's plants that are marketed to repel mosquitoes,
Mm-hmm.
and what all that really it means is mosquitoes don't like the odor that plant gives off.
The
So
citronella.
it's gonna avoid that plant. But if you're sitting 3 feet from that plant, the mosquitoes have no problem liking you. That plant's not going to keep that mosquito. So you know, it's true mosquitoes don't like that plant, but that plant's not going to stop you from getting eaten alive by mosquitoes if you're sitting like at your patio table. So.
Got it. Good to know, because I try everything for mosquitoes, to be honest. All right. Well, it's looking like Mamie also said her salvias and her lantanas come back every year. Oh, so I don't know the person's name, but the person on the Galaxy tab A says that they, oh, I'm sorry, Joe, Mom, Joe says she's in Houston. Her plumbago is not blooming much this year. Do you have any suggestions for that?
It needs full sun, and it likes a lot of food. So I would try fertilizing it and making sure it's staying watered. I don't know if they're staying dry in Houston right now or not. Probably are dry.
Okay.
So it needs full sun, and it needs lots of fertilizer, and then that'll trigger, because it's going to bloom on new growth. And if it's growing and happy, it's going to have more blooms.
Okay, great. And then I'm sorry, so to switch back, Galaxy Tab A said they've had success with potted vincas coming back by putting them in the garage over the winter. So they've been keeping them warm and being able to do those every winter. Okay, I have a question that I personally have, and I forget what it's called, but I have a tree in front of my house that has, I believe, a zinc deficiency. It's got the light green, yellow leaves. Is that iron? Maybe it's iron. I don't know. It's some sort of something. Any suggestions on what I can do for that?
Yeah. So is it an oak? Do you know
I believe it is an oak. Yes.
Right. And so that yellowing, we call it pin oak disease.
Okay.
In our soil type, we have high pH here, so it's really high. Oaks in general kind of like lower pH, more like acidic soil.
Okay.
But the Shumard red oak, which is the oak that you're supposed to have, can take alkaline soils, which is what we have. But the problem is, a lot of the Shumard red oaks that are sold in the nursery have pin oak in them, which is a different type of oak, because oaks are very promiscuous. The pollen's going everywhere, so it's never a pure.
Right.
And you don't no way to know that because it looks like that. So as it gets older and the roots grow in and they're in that alkaline soil, it just is super unhappy, and it starts to turn yellow, almost orange sometimes, and then it'll start to die back, and eventually it'll die. I hate to tell you that.
Well, I don't like hearing that. It's a nice big shade tree in front of my house.
And I've seen it happen to a tree after it had been growing to 10, 15 years. So it's a big tree, and it'll finally start to turn yellow and decline. And it's hard to get your nurseries that'll certify that it's a pure Shumard red oak, but they really have no way of really being able to say that. So it's a tricky thing. I've kind of shy away from Shumard red oaks now because you don't know what's going to happen down the future.
Well, that's sad. And you're right. This tree is probably 10 to 15 years old, because my house has been here for 10 years. So it was probably, planted pretty small, but no, goodness gracious. All right. Well, that was not encouraging, but
sorry for that answer.
Hey, I wanted an answer. I got it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, everyone, Dave, that has been fun, fascinating. I could ask you a million questions just because I'm bad with plants and wish I was better. But love all the questions that we had come in. Everyone, please, the gardens are open if you'd love to go walk through, it's a nice outdoor area, so you just obviously can't go in the buildings like he said, but make sure you give them a visit. So does that mean, I have to ask, that you're still going to be doing your huge fall pumpkin festival like you do every year?
Yes, we are. I think everybody is going to need that pumpkin show this year. So we will be doing it. And again, people, you can come out early. If you're a member, you can come in at 7. So there's hardly anybody here then. So if you're worried about, being around too many people, if your members come in early, and you can really enjoy it. And it's a lot cooler then too.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Well, Dave, thank you once again. I super appreciate it. Everybody, I am going to take you off of mute. All right. Wait a minute. There we go. So let's give Dave a big round of applause. Yay. Thank you so much once again.
Yay.
Loved it. Hope we can do something again in the future. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dallas Arboretum. We really appreciate this. And don't forget, Live, Laugh, Zoom next Tuesday is our first day. And everybody have a great weekend.
You too.
You too.
Thank y'all.
Bye, everybody. Have a great time.
It's been great.
We'll see y'all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So can I ask one quick question of you?